fine episode here at the Artist's Corner, where I, Mr. Dave Joyner, bring you fine drawing tutorials on a regular basis. In the intro, we saw, I told you guys we would be discussing horizon line, which is also the vanishing point, but it is also the point at which the viewer's eye level would be. So everything above the horizon line would be above your head, like these clouds right here that I'm establishing. These clouds are just very organically shaped. I mean, it's there's nothing to making clouds. You just want to remember that that when you go back in to redefine the clouds, you're going to want to find their edges, and you're going to want to layer the edges one on top of the other. Now we're going to establish this tree, and this tree is going to be moving down below the horizon line, so below your eye level, and then above the horizon line. You draw your trees how you like. This particular tree would probably be maybe like an oak tree or a fruit tree maybe. We're going to put some grass in here around the base of the tree. And then we're going to go ahead and start to establish our mountain range. So I start with the ridge line of the mountain, which is above the horizon line, obviously, because the mountains are far above your head. And now we're going in, and I am finding this area of the mountain's edge, so we can actually, it's almost like the mountain was originally like I don't know, I can't, it's hard to explain. It's like you're giving the mountain a three-dimensional towards your eye. So this line right there, it sort of these lines that separate the mountain almost into a pyramid shape. This right there, see that line in there, it's going to help you to find your shadows. It's also going to help you to establish size and depth, distance. This is the embankment along our little river. The embankment is below the horizon line because it's below your eye level. We're also using the method, the American Romantic method, where we've got the three-tier traditional method. The 1/3 ratio. So if you'll notice, my horizon line is about a 1/3 up the page, and the tree is approximately 1/3 across the page. So we have some trees we're starting to go in to establish, and as of course the trees are also above your head, so they would be above the horizon line. But you'll notice I'm making the trees on this side of the page, the treetops, higher than the treetops towards the cross section of our image. That's because they're actually getting closer and closer to us. And of course you can go in at any time you want and make these far more detailed. But we're just doing thumbnail illustration work right now. Maybe for a painting. We're putting in some grass. This grass is far away, so it's going to be very. It's not, the detail is not going to be very much. We're going to go ahead and put some trees on this side. Now we're going to go in here, and remembering that the closest thing to us is our foreground, and will be the darkest value. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start to darken the edges of this tree just a little bit. It helps me So we're going to just establish this tree, just really get the branches in there. I'm going to do a little bit of the grass work. Make sure that you remember the grass doesn't always, when it bends away from you, it creates almost a triangular tip, and there'll be a shadow on the bottom of it. Grass is very angular. But as you can see, the tree itself and this grass is far darker. This is another key point. We have the light source. So we know that this side of the tree, we're going to have sunlight. And this is how you also can, just like with our mountains, we are establishing depth. We are establishing the depth and actually creating the side of the tree is where we're going to see the shadows on the tree. And by doing both of these two things together, finding the shadows on one side and putting the sunlight on the other, we are actually creating the texture of the tree. More grass. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to darken this up considerably, because I really want... I'm going to go ahead and start darkening in some of the shaded areas on this side of the mountains. And of course these mountains could look better. If I took my time, I could really establish them and give them lots of character. You guys let me know when I'm finished with this if you'd like to see me do more episodes on landscapes. I think landscape artwork is probably one of the most crucial tools in an artist's repertoire. If you want to be able to do any kind of storytelling, it's really, really crucial. This landscape is extremely simple. I think in the next landscape we will play around with the composition, and maybe we'll do something from like a hanging or from a high point of view. So see, we're just going in and darkening this side of the tree and really establishing this shaded side. Now, something to remember. Oh yes, I want to tell you. Today we are using a regular HB mechanical. It is a 0.9. It's relatively large lead. It's good for doing these kinds of sketches. So we're going to go in here and put a piece of our focal point. We have a fisherman, and he's just going to be sitting here on the side of the embankment. Not a lot of detail. And we'll go ahead and we've got just a simple illustration. The fisherman's pole and his line going into the water are really going to remind us of what we have here. And if we want to, we can come back later and do a lot more. Remember when we illustrated the water that we left room at the bottom of the page for him to be having his fishing line go into the water. But now we're going to go ahead and go to this side of the page where I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and put a little car in here, because the fisherman had to have had a way to get down here to the water. And I think that it might be fun to remember that this is where you could really put a lot of elaborate detail. And this is also a nice way to finish off this particular video. You guys remember, if you like this video, to like it down in the comments section, and please leave me a comment. That would be greatly appreciated. And I hope to see you all again here next time on the Artist Corner for part 2 of landscape illustration. Thank you and good night.